I did Joe Dispenza meditations every day for 3 whole months, and these are the awesome results that I achieved that I would love to share with you. My name is Sebo Shen, and I love teaching people how to meditate so that you could activate your own internal guidance system and become your own spiritual guru. All right, so in case you don't know, Joe Dispenza is a spiritual teacher. He teaches people how to heal themselves through the power of meditation. He also holds many different retreats. I haven't had a chance to go to any of them, but my friends who have gone to Joe Dispenza retreats have told me that they are more powerful than going on ayahuasca retreats. And I have been on ayahuasca retreats, so I am very excited to see what is happening at these Joe Dispenza retreats. But I thought I would let you guys know what it is like to do these Joe Dispenza meditations every day for 90 days straight. I began doing Joe Dispenza meditations after I read his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And the stuff in this book is mind-bending. For me, it was the permission slip that I needed because I am a very rational, logical, science-based person, and spiritual concepts told through the lens of metaphysics or told through the lens of spiritual teachers, it just didn't resonate with me. Even though I wanted to believe them, it was hard for me to believe that there is only one thing, consciousness, unless it was explained through the lens of quantum physics, which is what Joe Dispenza does. Okay, so what was it like? Well, the first day I started doing these meditations, it was a 70-minute meditation. My wife sat me down and said, "Hey, I would love for you to do this meditation with me." Up until that point, I had only done 5 to 10-minute meditations, so this was significantly longer, but this was back in the time when I still felt like if my wife challenged me to do something, I would have to do it better than her. So of course I said, yes, I will do the meditation with you. And probably 5 to 10 minutes in the meditation, my back started hurting, my feet started falling asleep, and I wanted to shift positions. I opened up my eyes to see how my wife was doing, and she looked like she was sitting in bliss. So I just decided to just grin and bear it and just get through the first 5 to 10 minutes. And about, I would say 30 to 35 minutes in, I started hearing this little voice in my head. And this little voice was saying, yes, you are doing the right thing. Yes, you are on the right path. Keep believing in yourself. Keep doing what you're doing. And it was a really encouraging voice until it said, Sebo, now you are going to quit your job and you are going to become a meditation coach. And up until that time, as I said, I've only been meditating for 5 to 10 minutes a day. So who was I to be teaching meditation? And the company that I was running, the company that I founded, had just had this exponential growth. We went from making 6 figures in revenue to 7 figures in revenue to 8 figures in revenue just in a 36-month time frame. So thinking about quitting my job or stopping to run the company that I was running to become a meditation coach, it just seemed like so far-fetched from reality. So the next day, I sit down and do the meditation with my wife, and the same thing happens. I get this little voice about 30 minutes in, just telling me that I need to follow my intuition, and my intuition is telling me to step down from running my company and to become a coach. And my wife was also getting these similar messages during her meditation. So this was the first time we started experiencing having these dual mirroring visions together. And so I started doing these meditations every single day because I felt like this was something very powerful to access this type of intuition, to access this type of information. And the long story short is that was actually June 14th of 2020. By July 30th of 2020, I had begun coaching. I started coaching other entrepreneurs, other executives, teaching them how to live a more joyful life, a more peaceful life by teaching them meditation. And to be honest, I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just listening to Joe Dispenza's meditations and then teaching these executives the same things that I was learning from doing these meditations. And over the course of the next few months, I started building a book of business big enough by February 16th of 2021. So about 5 months later, I was able to step down from running my company to become a full-time meditation coach. And this is one of the great outcomes of doing these Joe Dispenza meditations, because the Joe Dispenza meditations really talked about where your concentration and where your focus goes is where the energy flows. So if you're always thinking about bad things happening into your life, then you will manifest those bad things happening. But if you focus on growth, if you focus on abundance, if you focus on expansion of consciousness and everything just aligning for you the way the universe wants, then that is also what will begin to happen. So let me share another story from doing all of these meditations. So I have actually, since I started doing those Joe Dispenza meditations, I've meditated a minimum of 1 hour every single day. And another story that I wanted to share with you is how I decided to move away from the San Francisco Bay Area to the rural area that I currently live in right now. And so this was, I believe, the date was, actually, it was also in June, but June of 2021. So in June of 2021, a friend of mine came to visit me from LA, and he told me that he was going to be helping out someone build this new facility up in the Colfax area. Colfax is about 2.5 hours north of the San Francisco Bay Area. So I went to go visit him at this Colfax location. And what they were going to build was this community where entrepreneurs and spiritualists could all come together and build some really great technology, not in order to make the most money possible, but in order to help the most people possible. And as we are driving to Colfax, we pass the Sacramento area, and my wife and I look at each other and we realize this is where we want to live. Our intuition is telling us it is time to move our family out of the Bay Area, and it is time to move to this Sacramento area, to this rural area that we saw. And so that was the middle of June. And similarly, by July 30th, we had actually sold our home. And then by October 21st of 2021, we are living in the Sacramento area, in the rural Elk Grove, and we started beginning this brand new life. And the reason why I wanted to share this story is that by doing these Joe Dispenza meditations, it connected me to my higher self. By connecting me to my higher self, I was able to trust the intuition, to trust the downloads that were coming into my body. Okay, so prior to doing these Joe Dispenza meditations and trusting my intuition, I was a logic-based person, a rationality-based person, someone that wanted to strategize, that wanted to put together different plans. So the fact that I was able to step down from running my company and to move away from the Bay Area with very little analysis of like, how is this going to affect my life? How are my children going to grow up? And all the different things that one would think about if they were going to step away from running their company, or to move from the San Francisco Bay Area, where it is Silicon Valley Central, to a rural area, right? So a completely different lifestyle change, a completely different way of living. Prior to moving out here, I was just like a Silicon Valley kid, always behind a keyboard or behind my laptop, thinking about what I wanted to create, what I wanted to do in the world. And now I'm living in a rural area where none of my computer skills really helped. You know, I needed to learn how to take care of our 2-acre property, how to garden, how to mow the lawn, how to build a chicken coop, how to raise chickens. And all of this was made possible because through these Joe Dispenza meditations, it connected me to my higher self. And my higher self, from what I was told through my direct experience, is always looking out for my long-term joy, purpose, and fulfillment. While my lower self, which is my ego mind, that is always looking out for my survival. Okay, so when you have 2 jobs, one that you will be happier with but pays you less, versus one that will pay you more that you don't really want to do, your ego mind is a part of you that will say, take the higher paying job because it is more capable of helping you survive, all right? Whereas your higher self will say, take the job that is more enjoyable, and trust that by taking the more enjoyable job, you will have more abundance in your life. And so I was always an intuitive person, but I would let my lower self, my logic and rationality, talk me out of the decisions that my intuition was guiding me towards. And now that I have been able to trust my intuition more, to listen to my higher guidance through doing these deep meditations and connecting with my higher self, connecting with source energy, even connecting with my guardian angels and spirit guides, my ability to be present, my ability to make decisions that are in alignment with my soul is so much higher than before, because before I used to create pros and cons lists. If I move to Sacramento, what are all the pros? What are all the cons? And then I would get into these states of analysis paralysis. And I'm not saying that logical and rational thinking, there is no place for it, because when I am creating different strategies, different marketing programs, doing business consulting, of course, I will tap into my logical, rational, strategic mind. But when it comes to making decisions of the heart, where should I live? How should I spend my time? Who should I be helping? Then being able to dive deep within myself, tapping into source energy, tapping into the quantum field, has really helped me live a life of joy, purpose, and fulfillment. And this is why I'm such a huge advocate of meditating. This is why I create meditations for everyone to do, because once I decided to commit to meditation, then I no longer needed to get advice from my friends, from colleagues, from family members, from mentors. And I'm not saying that there isn't value getting advice from those people, but what I am saying is that we all have our own truth. We are the ones that have walked in our own shoes. We know what is right and wrong for us. And typically when we ask for advice, we're just looking for people to validate what we already intrinsically know. So wouldn't it be powerful if you could just go into a deep meditation, get some downloads about which ways to lead your life from your guides, from your higher self, from source energy, and then have the courage to follow through, have the courage to take action. And what I can tell you is leaving my company, even though we had just done 8 figures, getting out of the Bay Area to live a completely different lifestyle at the age of 44, the one thing that I could tell you is following my intuition has always led to my highest good. And this is why it is so important for me to share what meditation has done for me, and why I love to teach people how to meditate, because in life, you could always outsource your decision making to reading books, to listening to podcasts, to hiring a coach, to hiring a therapist, to asking your colleagues or your coworkers or your mentors. But deep down, we all have that inner knowledge, that inner knowing of what is best for us. And if we can tap into our inner knowing through meditation and have the courage to follow the guidance of our intuition, then we could all live a life of joy, purpose, and fulfillment. Okay, so if you found this story helpful, or if you know anyone that could benefit from hearing my story about why meditation is so important, please share this live with them. Please subscribe to this channel. I would love to do more of this content, and with your help and with your support, I will be able to spend more of my time creating content that I believe will help us all achieve enlightenment, will help us all achieve equanimity, to help us all achieve more joy, purpose, and fulfillment in our lives. All right, so if you are ready to meditate, I will put one of my favorite meditations that you could click right over here, or maybe it's over there. I don't know, but I will make sure I put it in the right spot, and you guys have a wonderful